video is brought to you by Letsynthesize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Hey, Dan Larsen here, welcome to the newest Synthesize Sunday episode, and today I want to talk about halftime because we all love it, and I want to show you how to make very nice stabby bass sounds. Like always, you can download this project and this sound from my Patreon, link below, and if you want to learn more about production, check my academy, but right now let's jump into it. Okay, so we are talking about this bass sound. So this is a tricky bass because it contains 3 layers, and actually what I wanted to do is remake the Diplodocus bass, the Diplodocus halftime remix bass, without any love, because it obviously does not sound anything like that. But actually, here is the bass. So as you can see, I have 3 layers. I have the body layer, and it sounds almost like a percussion sound, but actually I really like it. The second one is a top layer. It's a very funny sound. And the purpose behind that is, as I said, the main bass sounds almost like a percussion sound, and I miss the tonality. I miss those bassy frequencies, you know, those sharp edges. So I had to put something into it that really suggests the tone of the sound. And actually the most important part, like always, is the sub. It's a very heavily saturated sub. So let's tear apart these layers. Oh, and by the way, I released the full halftime Neuro sample pack on Loopmasters. If you want to check it, go to the description. And let's start with the body layer, the most important, the most obvious layer. So I made it in Serum. Let me show you how it sounds on itself. So with this bass, I did the opposite that we always do with frequency modulation, because what we always do is use a higher frequency modulator on the carrier, and I switched it. So I used a higher frequency on the carrier and the lower frequency on the modulator. So as you can see in oscillator B, we have 0 octave, but oscillator A, which contains the FM from B warping mode, has +3 octaves, and the sub is on +2 octaves. And this is important because this creates a lot different sound if we switched the octaves. Especially with the sub on a higher level or on a higher octave, it just creates a very nice middle tone frequency. Now I have one LFO that drags the level of oscillator A, the blend mode, and the noise, and the sub obviously. And an important part here is the filter, because this filter creates a nice tone, a nice timbre for this sound. Because listen, if I tweak the cutoff, and the only effect in the FX is an LBH12 filter type, and basically because of the morph that switches between the filter types, this filter is between low and band pass mode, like in a magic way. But this makes an important part again. Now this is the main sound, but without the effects it's just nothing, so let's jump into it. The first effect is a Saturn, and basically this is simply a preset from the various folder, and this is called Antique Public Address. And what it does is basically just focuses the sound on the middle frequencies. So you can take it like a low pass filter and a high pass filter at the same time with some saturation on the middle band. Now I wanted to replicate this using only Ableton effects with an EQ8 and the saturation, but it just didn't give the same result. Now here comes the plugin that we all love, and it is Trash 2. Now this is not a preset this time. I tried to put in several distortion types on the middle band, because on the highest band and the lowest band there is nothing loaded, so it plays only in the middle band, and actually the sound itself is middle focus, so we don't really have anything on the low and on the high. So I have 2 stages. The first one is amp trainer, and the second one is the drive capacity, and we have a filter. It's on band pass mode, and it is on envelope mode. So I set the threshold to -22 decibels, and what it means is jumps between this and this position based on the input signal. So this is a very nice envelope follower for the filter, and it creates a plucky kind of sound with this bandpass filter. And I have another filter here, but this is deactivated, so we don't need that. So this is here Trash 2, and although it is very simple, it plays a very important role. Okay, I put a gate here because when we apply the reverb and the other stuff, it just creates a huge noise. I wanted to delete it. Then I put a reverb, a glue compressor to compress the reverb very heavily, an EQ8, drop off the lows and add some crazy highs. but at the same time I chopped the very highs, the very ear-bleeding highs. A multiband compression and an M auto pitch, what I use only to push the format down a little. This adds a nice touch to it. So this is the main bass sound. It's a very nice sound, but as I said before, I missed that crunchy, bassy, tony kind of thing, so I added another layer, and this is the top layer, as I said before. Let's see the main sound. It's very done. By the way, it is the same preset I just modified. As you can see, the octave on Noisia A is cranked back to +1, and this is on band plus mode, asymmetric plus mode. And I pulled back the mix on the phaser. And it's cool because it doesn't filter the sound, but we still have this nice drive on the filter, so it adds some nice crunch to it. And all the sub and all the noise and all the LFOs are untouched basically. The only difference is that I added an equalizer in the FX section, as you can see. Okay, so after that, again I added the gate, a compressor, glue compressor, an EQ8, and the multiband compressor and the saturator to the end. Now let's talk about the sub. Actually, it is again very simple. You just take a sine wave and crunch it very heavily. So this is what I did here also. I took a sine wave from the sub oscillator and I cranked out the drive on the filter. So basically the filter does not do anything, only crunches the sound. And I use another filter at the end to filter out the unwanted overtones. And I did the same again, but this time with the saturator and another auto filter and the gate to chop off the tails that we don't want on the sub. So this is the sound, and after the group I wanted to add another FX, a saturator to avoid digital clipping like always, and an EQ8 to chop off the very highs, the ear bleeding highs, and some fix at the middle bass frequencies. Okay, so this was it for today, and next time we are going to talk about the starting bass that plays on the kick, and I'm going to show you a nice little trick that I put on the kick drum. It creates a very nice touch to it. So see you guys next time, and don't forget you can download this preset from my Patreon and the whole project from my Patreon. And if you want to learn more about music production, click here or here somewhere for my academy for full courses, full masterclasses. I was Larson. See you guys next time. Peace.